Here's a number worth sitting with. The average high-earning American household loses between $15,000 and $25,000 a year, not to bad investments, not to emergencies, not to debt, but to transactions they don't remember making. Individually, each one felt like nothing. A few dollars, a monthly renewal, a convenience fee. Collectively, they are building a future the person never consciously chose, a destination that assembled itself, one small, repeated decision at a time. That's what this is about. For years, you've been conditioned to think in terms of milestones. The degree, the job, the house, the 401k. These are the markers of financial responsibility, the checkboxes on the societal score sheet. And you hit them. You bought the appropriate car for your status, the right insurance, the approved software subscriptions for your career. Every decision felt rational. A step forward, an affirmation of competence. You look at your salary, your savings, and then you look at your progress, and there's a disconnect. A hum of frustration that never fully resolves. You're making the right moves, so why does the pressure never recede? Why does the gap between income and actual freedom stay narrow year after year, regardless of how much the income grows? This feeling isn't a failure of your effort. It's a consequence of a system designed to operate entirely beneath the radar of your rational, big decision-making mind. The big decisions aren't where the extraction happens. They're the distraction. Think about the analogy of a ship. You meticulously plan your transatlantic voyage, charting every major waypoint, ensuring the hull is sound for the storm. But what if there's a tiny, constant current pushing you just 1 degree off course, day after day, hour after hour? You won't notice it immediately. You'll still see the horizon you expected. But by the time you reach your destination, you're not where you thought you'd be. Miles away. Perhaps shipwrecked on an unexpected shore, all because of an accumulation of negligible, frequent deviations. Your financial life operates on the same principle. It's not just the big storms that can sink you. It's the constant, gentle, repetitive currents that silently redefine your destination. The mechanism is called frequency compounding. It's not new, but its current form is unlike anything that existed before. The shift from one-off payments to subscriptions, from buying music to streaming it, from owning software to renting access, from purchasing a product to paying a monthly fee for its continuous delivery. This wasn't accidental. It was a deliberate evolution of economic models designed to harness the one thing businesses discovered is more reliable than any single large transaction: the human tendency toward habit. The root incentive is predictable revenue. But the fuel is something older: the deep human comfort found in routine, in minimal decision-making, in the gentle hum of always on. When you sign up for a service, you make one decision. The system doesn't profit from that single decision. It profits from the frequency of the payment, the repetition of the charge, the accumulation of small, automated actions that individually feel like nothing. In its current form, frequency compounding manifests everywhere. The streaming services, the meal kits, the app subscriptions that quietly renew, the delivery fees you barely register, the daily coffee, the small habitual online purchases that relieve micro-stress. Each transaction, on its own, seems inconsequential. A few dollars here, a few more there. But the system isn't interested in the magnitude of any single transaction. It's interested in the rate at which you repeat it. It's interested in embedding itself into the rhythm of your life, making itself a non-negotiable part of your routine, your comfort, your identity. Who profits? Not a shadowy cabal. Any entity that can establish a recurring claim on a small portion of your attention or income. SaaS companies, media conglomerates, coffee chains, delivery platforms, Retail giants with their subscribe and save models. They profit because they understand that $1,000 spent once is a big decision, but $10 spent 100 times is just life. And that's the mechanism. You think you're making choices. You're being efficient, indulging responsibly. But in reality, you're becoming what you repeatedly do. You're building an identity around these frequent, small outflows, an identity that demands their continuation. There's a second layer to this. I'll come back to it after we look at what it costs in real terms. Meet Claire. She's 42, a project manager, household income around $180,000, living with her partner in a desirable suburb. By every conventional metric, she's successful. She saves into her 401k. She bought her house at a reasonable rate. She contributes to a college fund for her niece. She feels a quiet pride in being financially responsible, and yet, a low-grade, persistent anxiety about money never fully leaves. She works hard, earns well, but the financial progress she expects never quite materializes. Not because she made a catastrophic mistake, not because she's careless, because her life is built on 1,000 small reinforcing habits that feel rational, feel necessary, and have become an unquestioned part of who she is. Claire's days are full and demanding. To cope, she's built a series of small, comforting rituals. Every morning, a premium coffee on her way to work. $6. Not even a thought. Lunch, ordered from the place near the office, $20 to $25, including fees and tip. Dinner, on the 3 evenings, she's too exhausted to cook $40 to $50. Weekends bring a small online purchase, nothing major, usually under $100. And then the subscriptions. Streaming services, the fitness program, the audiobook service, the productivity apps, the monthly beauty box. A collective $150 to $200 that she set up years ago and simply never thinks about. Individually, none of these feel like a problem. Each one is a small indulgence, a moment of convenience, a reward for hard work. She deserves it. Society agrees. Let's run the math, and these numbers are illustrative. So run your own. The $6 coffee, 5 days a week, $1,560 a year. The delivered lunch, 3 times a week, $3,900. The delivered dinner, 3 times a week, $7,800. The weekly online purchase, averaging $75, $3,900. The subscriptions at $175 a month, $2,100. That's nearly $19,260 a year, not siphoned away in large, noticeable chunks, withdrawn in a continuous, low-friction outflow integrated into the fabric of her daily existence. Now imagine that $19,260 redirected not as an outflow, but as compounding growth. At a hypothetical 7% annual return, after 10 years, that annual contribution could have grown to over $260,000. After 20 years, over $800,000. These figures are purely illustrative of compounding potential. But the principle isn't illustrative. The principle is real. Claire's financial competence isn't failing her. The system of frequency compounding has simply established a competing set of invisible priorities, silently dictating the terms of her trajectory. She feels trapped, not because of a single bad decision, but because she's been running on a treadmill that was designed to feel like progress. This mechanism scales beyond personal spending. Consider the professional sphere. The annual membership to the industry association, the subscription to the premium data analytics platform, The monthly fee for this specialized design software. The online courses purchased to keep skills current. Each one is a small, justifiable expense, critical for maintaining professional identity and competitive edge. Individually, investments in a career. Cumulatively, a recurring fixed cost. A system of continuous payment that must be sustained for the professional to maintain their perceived value. A senior manager might carry a suite of productivity apps, an executive coaching subscription, a premium news service, a curated content feed billed monthly or annually. These are not optional. They are embedded into the identity of a high-performing professional. They are part of the daily frequency of being that person. If these costs total a hypothetical $500 a month, that's $6,000 a year. Over a 20-year career. Applying similar illustrative compounding assumptions, that's well over $250,000 in diverted capital. The mechanism leverages the constant pressure to optimize, to improve, to keep up, turning it into a continuous, low-friction revenue stream. The cost isn't just the money. It's the narrowing of options, the reduction of financial slack, the subtle erosion of genuine freedom disguised as responsible investment in oneself. Here is the second layer I promised. The system doesn't need you to make a grand, expensive mistake. It doesn't need you to be reckless or uninformed. It just needs you to be reliably, habitually comfortable. It needs you to repeat, day after day, the small actions that make its revenue streams predictable and robust. But it goes further than that. The longer you repeat a behavior, the more it becomes identity. You're not someone who buys coffee every morning. You're someone for whom buying coffee every morning is part of who you are. You're not someone who subscribes to 12 services. You're someone whose life runs on them. The system doesn't just capture your spending. It captures your self-concept. And once a habit is load-bearing in your identity, the cost of stopping it is no longer just financial. It feels like a loss of self. That's not an accident. That's the architecture. Think about what happens when someone in Claire's position tries to cancel even one of those subscriptions. The fitness app she hasn't opened in 4 months. She goes to cancel it and hesitates. Not because she's using it, but because canceling it means admitting she's the kind of person who doesn't work out. The subscription has become a placeholder for an identity she hasn't yet abandoned. The company designed it this way. The cancellation flow has 5 steps. There's a pause screen that shows her how much she's used it. There's an offer. There's a pause instead of cancel option. Every friction point exists to exploit the gap between who she is and who she wants to believe she is. This is frequency compounding, operating at its deepest level, not just on the wallet, but on the story she tells herself about her own life. Now scale this across every recurring charge she carries. Each one is a small monthly vote for a version of herself. The premium news service. She's someone who stays informed. The audiobook subscription. She's someone who keeps learning. The meal kit. She's someone who values cooking at home, even when the box goes unopened 2 weeks in a row. These aren't just expenses. They are monthly affirmations of an identity. And the system knows that people pay to protect their self-image far longer than they pay for actual value. This is why the traditional advice, just track your spending, just cut the lattes, lands so flat when you actually try it. It frames the problem as a math problem. Add up the small amounts. Feel guilty. Stop buying them. Redirect the savings. But that misses the architecture entirely. The latte isn't the cost. The latte is the ritual. The ritual is the identity. And the identity is what the system has actually sold you. Getting that money back isn't a spreadsheet exercise. It's a question about who you are when no one is watching and no subscription is renewing. The mechanism scales beyond personal spending. Consider the professional sphere. The annual membership to the industry association. The subscription to the premium data analytics platform. The monthly fee for the specialized design software. The online courses purchased to keep skills current. Each one is a small, justifiable expense, critical for maintaining professional identity and competitive edge. Individually, investments in a career. Cumulatively, a recurring fixed cost, a system of continuous payment that must be sustained for the professional to maintain their perceived value. A senior manager might carry a suite of productivity apps, an executive coaching subscription, a premium news service, a curated content feed, billed monthly or annually. These are not optional. They are embedded into the identity of a high-performing professional. They are part of the daily frequency of being that person. If these costs total a hypothetical $500 a month, that's $6,000 a year. Over a 20-year career, applying similar illustrative compounding assumptions, that's well over $250,000 in diverted capital. The mechanism leverages the constant pressure to optimize, to improve, to keep up, turning it into a continuous, low-friction revenue stream. The cost isn't just the money. It's the narrowing of options, the reduction of financial slack, the subtle erosion of genuine freedom, disguised as responsible investment in oneself. There's a subtler version of this that almost never gets named. High earners in particular tend to develop what you might call a frequency floor, a baseline monthly outflow. They never question because every individual item on it is justifiable. The gym membership, the parking, the work wardrobe refreshes, the client dinners, the conference registrations, the premium tools. Each line item has a rational defense. Collectively, they form a financial floor that rises incrementally every year, almost automatically. Because lifestyle and professional identity drift upward together. The floor rises. Income rises. The gap between them, the gap that represents actual financial freedom, stays stubbornly, inexplicably narrow, and the person at the center of it can't see it because they're looking at each tree individually, never at the forest. Reframing financial health as a static state, a number on a balance sheet, a fixed target, misses this entirely. In the shadow of frequency compounding, financial health is a dynamic, living system, a continuous flow. You are not defined by the grand financial declarations you make. You are defined by the relentless rhythm of your smaller, repetitive actions. Not what you have, what you repeatedly do. The question isn't whether you have the money to afford these things. You do. The question is whether the life built around their continuation is the life you would have consciously designed, or just the one that assembled itself around your comfort, one renewal at a time. And the deeper question, the one that tends to surface slowly. If the system profits most when you are comfortable and predictable, what does it mean that comfort has become the primary metric by which you evaluate your own choices? Freedom isn't the absence of payments. It's the ability to stop any one of them without feeling like you're dismantling yourself. If you can't walk away, you're not free. What's the one small, frequent financial habit you have that feels utterly indispensable to your daily life? Most people, when they see this clearly for the first time, ask a version of the same question. Is this specific to spending, or does the same mechanism shape the way you earn, the way you're valued at work, the way you price your own time? The answer changes things.